Hey guys, it's Busmaster99, and as you can see, we have a rental car, and I'm at my grandparents'. So the reason we have this car is because my dad's 2012 Honda Pilot needs service. So we took it in, not to a dealer, but to an independent mechanic who Dad has known ever since before I was born, so over 20 years. This is a 2017 or 18 Nissan Altima SV. I'm not a big fan of Nissans. I don't even like their Infinity lineup. The QX30 is straight off of the Mercedes GLA, so it's a rip-off. Don't buy them. They're all junk. This car is a piece of junk, and I'm about to explain why. Cars like this make me appreciate my dad's 2012 Honda Pilot even more, because even it has features this doesn't. But then again, this car has some features that the Pilot does not have, like it doesn't have blind spot monitoring, for instance. And this car was worse than the Pathfinder we had in July when we were on vacation in Rhode Island. And I'm gonna say that because the Pathfinder at least had LED daytime running lights, whereas this car has daytime running lights above the fog lights. They're incandescent. So it kind of reminds me of when we had a Mini Countryman and there were parking light bulbs slightly above the fog lights, so you couldn't tell, unless you had an expert eye, whether the fog lights were on or whether it was just the parking lights. So, the service that the Pilot needs is A13, which means an oil change, a tire rotation, and a transmission fluid flush and change. But Dad also opted to do a tune-up, which usually is required between 90,000 and 100,000 miles, but we have slightly under 89,500 miles, so sub 90,000. Early is on time is late, so I'm all for him doing the tune-up early. And it's going to cost at least $2,000, even with this independent mechanic rather than the dealer, but at least we save a significant amount of money compared to the dealer for a Honda. Can you believe it? Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start it up. We're going to do a remote start, so lock. I believe you hold this. Yep. Brake. This car does, however, have a decent amount of features. It does have LED interior illumination, does have automatic headlights, and they are enabled right now. Does have working fog lights. The Nissan Pathfinder we rented in July had the fog lights disabled, so even if you turned the switch, the lights would not turn on. But at least the regular headlights worked, and that's what really mattered. Automatic temperature control, automatic defrost, so if it's too cold, it'll turn on the front and rear defrosters. Does have Bluetooth, which is mandatory on a car in my opinion. And it does have sport mode, which I would recommend driving this in at all times if you want to get the most out of it. Unfortunately, it does not have paddle shifters. And that's saying something, since my grandma's Subaru Legacy, which is in the garage right in front of this car, has them. And it's a CVT. So, this is a CVT. It's not a traditional automatic. Only one automatic window, and that's the driver's side. The Pilot has two, and they're both in the front. There's the trip computer button right above the traction button, and the panel dimmer. So when the headlights turn on, you can dim the cluster. You can even turn the brightness off, which you really shouldn't do, because then you can't see it. But yeah. I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood. So another reason this car is a piece of junk is because you see that pedal down there? That's the parking brake. Many cars have adopted an electronic parking brake. It would be located either behind the gear shifter or down here somewhere. That's where it is in my grandma's Subaru and my mom's Mercedes. I'm gonna open this up. So this is a 4-cylinder engine. Don't know the displacement because I don't really care to research cars I don't like. So I might look it up after this video and put the figure for power in the comments as a pinned comment and the displacement of the engine. So more to come for that. There are a lot of leaves accumulated from the fall. There are absolutely no LEDs, well, maybe the third brake taillight, on the exterior of this car. So back inside, as you can hear, the heater system is working its butt off to keep me warm. You do have a backup camera. Overdrive off. Kind of blocked by that tachometer. And it does have push button start. So that's another thing my dad's car doesn't have. But I still like it better, obviously. Storage. I'm going to turn on the interior lighting so you can see everything better. But if they had just given us a Camry or a Ford Fusion or something like that, I would have been happier. The only reason I'm not all that fazed by this rental car is because A, I'm not driving it, and B, my grandmother's Subaru Legacy has an electronic parking brake, and that's the one feature that I'd like to see on any rental car we get, but they can't give it to me. It's kind of crazy. Only one feature and they can't give it to me. So it's not really asking for much if you think about it. Because the reason I like the electronic parking brake over the hand or foot lever is because, well, it's not because I don't like the hand or foot levers, it's because of the security features the electronic parking brake gives you. Like, for instance, if you set the parking brake and your foot is off the brake, it can't be released. Same goes for if you have the ignition off. Whereas with a hand or foot, you can just step on it at any time, no foot on the brake, no ignition, and the brake will release. So why do we still have cars with unsafe parking brakes to this day? That's one reason why. But I will say that this does drive fairly decently because it's not very heavy. Does have a 4-cylinder engine, so not a whole lot of power, but when you put it in sport, everything changes. So you get more throttle response, even with a light blip on the throttle. And because it's not as heavy as the Pathfinder, it's able to accelerate faster. Doesn't need a V6. What else should I say? Glove box storage is okay. Turn the lights back on so you can read the warning here. The controls, because I'm not used to Nissan, are not that user-friendly, my opinion. You can change how long the lights stay on for if you leave it in auto. Up to 3 minutes. I usually like to leave it off. That way, as soon as I shut the car off, the lights will go off. But it was set to 45 seconds, which I think is a little bit too long because it could drain the battery, especially if you don't have a good battery. And that might be another thing the Pilot needs to have replaced, because it was cranking slower than usual, which is typical in wintertime, but that battery was 3 years old, so yeah, it might be time to replace it. Because it was last replaced in 2015, which was about 3 years after we got the car. So, yep. Sounds logical to have it replaced every 3 years based on that. Another thing is halogen headlights. As I've mentioned earlier, there are no LEDs except for the third brake taillight on the exterior of this vehicle, but it does have LED interior illumination, which I am happy about. No heated seats, and that's because with cloth seats you really don't need them, so no complaints there. It does have Sirius XM, but I don't know if the subscription is good or not. A lot of rental cars don't have a good subscription because people use them up. So, yeah, there's that. And that's all there is to it, guys. There isn't really much to show you in the back. So if I missed something, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, this video is over. Final grade on this car, C. The only reason I'm not giving it a D or an F is because it actually does have good power, and it does have some features the Pilot does not have. Other than that, this car is a piece of junk, and I will never buy or own, well, actually that's the same thing. I'll never own a Nissan product in my life, and that's my opinion. So if you like these cars, I respect your opinion. But I'm allowed to have my own, so I'm just trying to state the difference there. I'm not saying you can't buy a Nissan, because that would be unconstitutional. People in this country, because it's a free country, can do what they want and have their own opinions. So there you go. Until next time, peace out. Be sure to give this video a big fat thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, do what you do best. I personally don't care which. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you on the next video.